what's the point of functions and the idea like shortcutting. So to get started, we have our good old ellipse. We have it at maybe 100, 100, 10, and 10. We get one simple circle being drawn to the screen. Run. Appear. Did I spell ellipse right? Did I do create canvas right? Yeah, so very tiny circle over there. We'll make it slightly larger for the purposes of this demo code. When I run my code, you see your circle. And maybe, so far, what you're really comfortable with is having to copy and paste, and this is very tedious. And then maybe to move this over, I'll shift this over by 10, move this over by 20, move this one over by 70. This is the current coding pattern that we're used to. And when I click run, suddenly my circles have been shifted over some. Maybe then for the y coordinates, I'll minus and make this one go up 70, maybe make this one go up 23, 56, minus whatever it is, and then plus 100. And then I run, and then the circles kind of spread out. So that kind of change is what you want to do, but over and over again, and you want to make it easy on yourself. One new idea from the last assignment was shape patterns. We can create a variable. Call this, let's say, the change in x. So we declare it up here. Let's also declare y. Declare my variables. And this is one way to help save us some time. First, they'll start off x equals 10. So I'm initializing down here, y equals 10. Initialize. So far, so good. This is familiar. Yeah. And then down here, maybe then I will add on that x here, maybe subtract the x here, add on the x, add on the x, add on the x. Here, minus the y, plus the y, plus y, minus y, plus y. And when I run this code again, using some variables, it helps me get closer to like a random smattering of circles. But then we take a look, like, oh, that's not very helpful. These circles each time are only shifted over a little bit. A useful function is, I think, random. So if you work through the code.org exercises, you would have seen your friend random. You give it two numbers, and it gives you a random number between those two. So for example, in this line, line 5, it should give us a number between 0 and 100. This will be a key part of your Ticklish Penguin assignment. And when let's click run and see what happens. It complains because I didn't have the open parentheses. Let's run. Okay. Maybe I'll run it again. This is getting a little bit better. These circles are changing position, but only each time when I press run. There's a little bit random change. They roughly start in the same spot. But I want this to happen like all the time. What do I do next? Okay. We good with variables? The random function will be useful. Now here's the super new stuff. So function, let's call it splat. Okay, my function splat is going to take the place of these 5 ellipse functions. So I'm going to cut those and put them into this function splat. And in here, because I cut and pasted those code, and I still want to produce a similar image, I put it into this new function definition, function splat. I cut and paste the ellipse code, but since I still wanted to draw, I have its original name there, splat. When I run this a bunch of times, I should see that same input, right? Each time I click run, the circles change positions ever so slightly. So far, so good. Now what makes it especially interesting, and to have it repeat, is maybe down here, each time we draw, let's have it follow our mouse. So x is going to be updated to the mouse and mouse y. Now when we click run, it does this kind of thing. Does that look familiar, kind of? Shape patterns? Yeah? So it's kind of tracking it, kind of symmetric, although all of it doesn't fit on the screen. That's pretty neat. Still not quite what we want. Maybe now we erase what came before it. We add a background. So now we have run circles. Oops. Draw my background, change my x and y coordinate, then draw my circles. Let's see. Circles. Where are you? Okay, take a pause. So background, let's leave that in for now. And here's the last new thing I want to introduce. So notice down here, x and y are tied to these x and y we initially declared, all the way up here. We initialized them once down here, but now they're kind of like controlled by draw. Let's see what happens if we add in that random number down here. Maybe we'll have it be a little bit smaller this time. Instead of 1 through 100, I want to see all those circles. I'll do random 1 through 10. Okay, and that's inside draw, and that makes a key difference. Why? Because this code repeats. Each time the circles are being drawn, you're getting a new x and y random number. So when we click run this time, you will see a little like random ticklish motion. I used jiggly a lot in the other one, but it sounded odd. So you're getting something similar to that colorful thing. Questions? Comments? So the main ideas from this little lecture is this is how we define a function. You put in the keyword function. You give it a name of your choice. Tomorrow we'll talk about making this more complicated, but for now just have it be empty and then think about the code you want to repeat. That's what's going to go into your function. You may use some variables to change its behavior, and otherwise you're adding in some randomness to get that kind of ticklish pattern. Cool? Tomorrow we're going to talk about using multiple arguments, having more control to your randomness.